Persistent denial. In this form of gaslighting, gaslighters adamantly deny and reject any accusations made against them, even if the evidence suggests otherwise. They viciously deny ever saying or doing something they're being accused of until the victim starts feeling confused. It causes the victim to question their memory and start self-doubting their own claims. Then, over time, this pattern of persistent denial erodes the victim's trust in their own reality, which then makes them more susceptible to accepting the gaslighter's version of events. Such insidious form of gaslighting leads to the victim questioning their sanity and relinquishing their truth. For instance, if you confront your friend after a fight about something she said that hurt you, and she blatantly refuses that she ever said it, and keeps on refusing your version of events, that fits right into the box of persistent denial as a form of gaslighting. Selective amnesia. This is a tactic gaslighters often use to make their victims doubt their own experiences and memories. It happens when someone conveniently forgets hurtful or abusive behaviors they've committed. To understand this better, consider this example. During your annual performance review at work, your manager praises your hard work and hints at a promotion for you in clear words. You leave the meeting feeling excited and motivated about what's to come. However, when you go on to later ask about the promotion, your manager looks confused and claims to have no recollection of ever discussing it. How do you feel? You feel perplexed and you doubt your memory. Now, you start to wonder whether you misunderstood the conversation or if your manager genuinely forgot. This makes you question your own perceptions. This type of gaslighting can take place in any situation, and it leaves the victim feeling disoriented and unsure of what really went down. Trivialization. In this form of gaslighting, the gaslighter downplays and disregards the victim's feelings to make them doubt the validity of their emotions. Think about it like this. Your partner makes a hurtful comment about your appearance. They say you don't look nice in a certain outfit, and when you express how this remark made you feel, what do they do if they are a gaslighter? Well, they'll brush it off, and they tell you to stop being so sensitive. That's classic trivialization. In such cases, the gaslighter's aim is to minimize the victim's feelings and concerns and make them question whether they're overreacting or being too sensitive. Trivialization undermines the victim's confidence and makes them doubt their own perceptions of what's acceptable behavior and what's not. This ultimately makes it easier for the gaslighter to control the situation. Projection. In this classic tactic, the gaslighter accuses the victims of the very things they themselves are guilty of. Simply put, they hold up a mirror to deflect attention away from their own negative behavior by attributing it to the victim instead. Essentially, the gaslighter denies their own faults or negative traits by pointing fingers at the other person, even if those traits aren't true for that person. How does this strategy help them? Well, it allows them to maintain a sense of innocence. But most importantly, it allows them to avoid facing their own wrongdoings. Take this for instance. In cases of intimate partner violence, the abuser might provoke their partner by being hurtful. When the partner points this out, the abuser will flip the script and accuse the victim of being the abusive one for getting upset. Love bombing. In new relationships, or even old, love bombing is a form of gaslighting in which the gaslighter overwhelms another person with affection and attention. According to psychologists, this is a big red flag. Why is that? In a healthy relationship, trust is something that develops gradually over time. It's natural to feel a connection with someone immediately, but genuine trust takes time to build. What love bombers do is they tend to latch onto the victim right away. They would shower you with declarations of love and admiration. Gaslighters may also use material goods, like expensive dates or elaborate meals, to love bomb. And in most cases, the love bombers know that you won't be able to reciprocate such gestures, but you'd feel guilty rejecting such advances, so they keep on doing it. Guilt tripping. Guilt tripping is a type of common behavior among narcissistic individuals, and it's a terrible form of gaslighting. Essentially, when a gaslighter guilt trips, they maintain their victims' emotions by making them feel responsible for their own problems and shortcomings. Gaslighters excel at one thing: projecting their own flaws onto other people and being unable to own up to their mistakes. They are also terrible at apologizing. Oftentimes, when they accuse the other person of something, they're mainly talking about themselves. This maneuver provides them with a sense of control and power over their victims, so they can control their victims' actions to maintain dominance in the relationship. Distorting reality. Imagine you see something with your eyes. For instance, your friend eating your last cookie. You decide to confront them, but they start telling you that you didn't actually see them eating it. They start distorting reality by being persistent about the fact that you must have seen something wrong. This form of gaslighting is about trying to control someone by making them doubt what they know is true. The problem with such gaslighters is that they don't do this kind of thing just once in a while. They do it habitually. It's not just lying, it's a form of abuse. If you feel like someone is always trying to make you doubt what you know, you need to remove yourself from any situation that includes the said person. Twisting truth. This form of gaslighting is all about gaslighters twisting truths to make themselves look good and blame others. For instance, if your partner accidentally splashes you with hot grease while cooking, and when you complain to them later, they start saying, "Oh, you bumped the pan. I was just trying to save the oil from spilling." Even if it was clear-cut their fault, they'll twist the truth in a way that puts the victim at the end of the blame. Such tactics make the victim doubt what really happened, and they start questioning their version of events. This allows the gaslighter to confuse the victim even more and bring the victim to believe their version of the truth, which is twisted and vile. Gaslighting by proxy. Now, this form of gaslighting is quite difficult to spot. Basically, it involves a gaslighter recruiting other people, intentionally or unintentionally, to do their dirty work for them. For instance, if someone catches the manipulator's shady behavior, they'd outright deny any wrongdoing, or insist the other person is misunderstanding things. However, in this form, they go one step farther. Their ally, or the proxy, will support the gaslighter's innocence in front of the victim, stating that they have never seen them act that way before. What this does is then cause the victim to feel isolated and unsure of their own thoughts and truth. Now, gaslighting by proxy can happen in different ways. Some gaslighters might deliberately recruit allies, and others might subtly cultivate allies through charm and manipulation. In the latter one, the gaslighter might not even ask its allies to come to aid, and they shall without realizing what they're doing. Scapegoating. The danger of this form of gaslighting lies in its repetition. Scapegoating is when a person shifts blame away from the person who's actually responsible and onto someone else. In most cases, scapegoating is used to avoid accountability for actions that could harm a relationship or a person's authority. Now, initially, it might not be clear that you're not at fault when you come across scapegoating, but when this behavior is repeated, and when the victim hears the same message multiple times, it becomes easier for them to doubt themselves. The victim starts wondering if they're the one who's in the wrong. Such a pattern allows gaslighters to easily manipulate people and make them question their sense of self-worth. Exploiting vulnerabilities. The worst thing about gaslighters is that they cannot be trusted with anything. Their main source of control is other people's vulnerabilities and insecurities. If someone confides in them about their weaknesses, they will use that information against them in any way possible. One form of gaslighting, and maybe the worst, is that they will exploit other people's insecurities to harm them. For instance, they might publicly shame their victim or make jokes at their expense, and then brush it off as harmless teasing. They might persuade the other person to make fancy purchases, only later to criticize them on their spending habits. By making the other person feel inadequate, they aim to seize control of decision-making processes and convince them that they're better equipped to handle all the responsibilities. Creating chaos. This might seem vague, but creating chaos in different manners is a form of gaslighting because it disrupts the other person's sense of reality and stability. Gaslighters create chaos through constant lies and inconsistency, or they might even create situations that are designed to confuse another person. By doing so, it becomes easier for the gaslighter to control the narrative and manipulate the other person's version of events. Such events can lead the victim to become increasingly dependent on the gaslighter, as the person would constantly question their judgment. So the only source of validation and guidance would just be the gaslighter.